What's going on, guys? Mike here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to write drum beats in Garageband using MIDI. One way that you can write drum beats inside of Garageband is by using one of these. This is just a MIDI keyboard. This functions the same way as a typing keyboard, but it just communicates with the digital audio workstation like Garageband. You push a key, you get the note. Very, very simple. But the reason why I want to show you how to do it by hand is so you have a greater understanding of how the MIDI regions and the piano roll, which we'll get to in a minute, functions. So let's jump in. So up here I have a blank session. You have a couple of options as far as sounds you want for a drum beat. A lot of these sounds actually sound really, really good, even if they are in fact fake. But with this particular example, we're going to go to drum kit and I'm going to use heavy. This is a preset that's kind of like a heavier rock drum kit. It's very, very defined. This will be a good patch for us to use so you get the idea of what each drum sounds like and how to use it. First thing you're going to want to do is come over to your range table and right click and you're going to see create MIDI region. This green box right here is our MIDI region. This is our template where we can work and create our groove. So what you're going to do, double click in your MIDI region, and up here pops up what we call the piano roll. And the piano roll is basically our kind of like our almost like typewriter for our MIDI region. If I click on these notes over here, you're going to hear drum sounds. For instance, C1 is our kick drum, D is our snare drum. So what I want to create right now is just a simple kick on 1 and 3, snare on 2 and 4. So boom, pap, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we look up here on our ruler, we have 16 tick marks. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16. And those are our 16 16th notes inside a measure of 4, 4. What we're going to do is just go boom, pap, kick, snare, kick, snare. So what we're going to do is hit command and click on the C region. Same thing with the snare drum, but we're going to go to D. Back to C on beat 3 and D on beat 4. Play it back. And there's your backbeat. A very, very simple backbeat. Kick, snare, kick, snare. Usually over your bass drum or your snare, you'll have like a hi-hat. Sometimes you'll have like a ride cymbal, but for now we're going to use a hi-hat. What I want to do with the hi-hat is create eighth notes. Now, if we go back up to our ruler over here, like I said, we have 16 little hash marks up on the top. What we're going to do is we want 8 hits on the hi-hat. Basically a good way to think about it. If we want 8 of those, what we need to do, we're going to click on this F sharp up here. And you'll notice that this little bracket thing pops up. You have the option to lengthen or shorten your MIDI notes. In this particular case, what we're going to do is create an 8th note so that we can have 8 hi-hat hits. So we have 1, command click 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Play it back. And that right there is our beat. I'll play it back. Now, as a drummer, I can tell you the 2 most important things inside of a rock groove, or any groove for that matter, are your kick and your snare. Your kick and your snare dictate the feel of your drum beat. The hi-hat also obviously gives us some form of time, but the actual like color or the feel of that drum groove is dictated by our bass and our snare. With that being said, we want our snare and bass drum to be, in this case, as loud as possible. For instance, if we were creating like a rock song. So one thing to mention here is that if you click on your MIDI note, you're going to see a thing over here that says velocity. Velocity basically is your volume. Right now, our hi-hats are all at 127. What I want to do is bring all of those down because we don't want our hi-hat sound to be too top heavy. We want to bring it back a little bit. So what I'm going to do is select all of these, click and drag, bring this down, and you're going to notice the hi-hat level is brought down a decent amount. Check it out. It's still audible, and you can still hear it keeping time for us, but that kick and that snare is a lot more promising and a lot louder. Now let's say you're not a drummer, you're a guitar player or you're a piano player or just a singer-songwriter, and you want to create a groove without the grueling experience of having to write out an entire 128 bars of drums. Just like your Apple loops, you can select this MIDI region up here. I'm going to close the piano roll for now. You can Command-C this or copy and paste for as long as you want. In this case, I'm going to just do 8 measures of a drum groove. This is going to save you a lot of time, especially if you want to get some sort of a demo or an idea out really, really quick. This is a really, really good shortcut technique you can do just to give yourself a backbeat to work with. The other thing that I'm going to bring up is drum fills. This is kind of where things can get a little hairy, but I'm going to show you a couple of easy drum fills that you can use to put in some of your beats. So in this particular example, I'm just going to mute this track real quick. I'm going to duplicate it. Another really cool feature that you can do is if you want to have the same track, a duplicate of it, you just want to create a new one, you click on the track that you want to duplicate and you hit Command-D and you'll see a new track is created. It's the exact same thing. It's a heavy drum kit. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to just click on that track, right click, create MIDI region, and our green box is going to pop up. What we want to do now is create a fill. Let's say it starts on beat 3. Your tom drums are going to be located up in B, A, G, and F. I'm going to start this fill on beat 3 over here. You got measure 1, beat 3. So I'm going to come over to my B line, come across, hit that. I'm going to go to A now, then G, then I'm going to double G again. You're going to have this sound. The next thing you want to do is split that, and all you have to do is drag and drop this right over the drum beat where you want that fill. Check this out. I'm going to unmute this and play it back. These serves as kind of directions for the band saying, okay, we are going into a new section now. The best piece of advice that I can give you is to mess around as much as you can. Open up an empty template inside of GarageBand and just go nuts. Start creating new grooves. Alter your bass drum patterns before you start altering your snare. That's my biggest recommendation. Keep your snares on 2 and 4 for now. Start messing around with your hi-hat patterns, maybe add a ride in here, use some fills, but keep the snare on 2 and 4 in the beginning just so that you still have an idea of where the backbeat. That is the basics of creating a drum groove by hand. You're going to end up coming up with some really, really cool stuff that you'll end up using. If you like what you see, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. I would really appreciate it. Be on the lookout for some more tutorials using GarageBand. Definitely have some more stuff to share with you. Thanks again for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Take care.